Hi, and welcome back to Time with Toto. I'm James Toto, just a common man with common problems trying to find common sense solutions to the issues of today. I hope you've been well and did something nice for someone who has absolutely no impact on your life. In other words, you did something for the right reasons and expected nothing in return. In this episode, I want to talk about accountability. It seems as though the game of the day is pointing the finger at someone else, blame someone else, or distract people enough to disregard what is really going on. What do I mean by that? There's a lot going on in the world, and when people get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, they don't want to accept responsibility for their actions. We've heard that one person has incited a riot or that the mob mentality took over. I call bullshit. At what point in time does personal responsibility go out the window? I've been caught speeding, going with the flow of traffic, maybe just a little bit faster. It does not absolve me from the fact that even though everyone else was doing it, that I was speeding. I have a personal responsibility to obey the laws of the road. When I was pulled over, I was polite to the officer and did everything asked of me. Every time I acted with respect, I received respect. Every time I acted like an idiot, I was treated as such. Almost every law enforcement officer I've ever dealt with treated me with respect. The only times I was not was when myself, did something to get a reaction from an officer. It usually didn't go well for me. That was my fault, and I accept that responsibility. Society has now made it fashionable to be disrespectful to the police and for laws in general. I live not too far from Atlantic City. We watched as protests came to our backyard. Now, the first portion of the day I agree with. The right to peaceful protest, the right to freedom of speech, the right to say we don't agree. I have no problem with that whatsoever. That is liberty. The second part of rioting and destroying private property, I have a serious issue with. When did personal responsibility go out the window? At no point in time should the mob mentality take away the responsibility to act responsibly, and you be held accountable for your actions, regardless of how everyone else is acting. If everyone had that point of view, there would be no looting, no rioting, or burning down of businesses. The media has turned things around in such a way that the rioters are the victims. It is the business's responsibility to understand that rioting and looting is going to make things better. The businesses that employ responsible people needs to understand that stealing is going to repair hurt feelings of so-called injustices. I don't agree with this. Now, I'm not saying that things haven't gotten out of hand by law enforcement. That would not only be ludicrous, but would be a lie. 99.99 times out of 100, the police act within the scope of their purview of the law. They try to de-escalate. They don't want to go to extremes. And I know. I was part of the Air Marshals, and our first priority was to de-escalate. Not every situation is going to end with cooperation, but that is the goal. Have things gotten out of control and police gone off their reservation and act the way they want? Yes. But it is the rare occasion. I used to work security for bars, in other words, a bouncer. Were there guys who wanted every situation to end in a scuffle? I hated working with those guys. In a bar fight, someone always ends up bloody. Whether it's a nose, a simple cut from glass on the floor, which is where every bar fight goes, or a scratch, someone is going to shed some blood. I don't want the bar to have the legal responsibility to have to defend my actions in those situations. Now, with cameras in every phone, what we see in the news, the guys like me pouncing in the ever-living daylights out of some drunk. You don't see me trying to talk to the guy, trying to reason with the guy, trying to resolve the issues so that it can de-escalate. You don't see the guy taking the first swing. What you see is someone like me who's completely sober handling another human being in a way that is completely abhorrent. The same thing happens with the police. We don't get to see the cop giving someone every chance to handle the situation responsibly and with accountability for their actions. We don't get to hear the cop telling someone to think about their family before it gets out of control. We don't get to hear the officer give 1, 2, 3, even 4 chances to act civilly. We get to see the officer just react to the end result of things. We see the person being arrested who decided to do something stupid, and now it's past the boiling point. In the court of public opinion, the cop is guilty and the person who was under arrest is innocent. The only saving grace has been the body cams which the officers wear, which is proving the police reactions have been, for the most part, correct. Now, on the right side of fairness, I'm going to agree that some officers' reactions and behaviors have been wrong. Absolutely wrong. But out of the tens of thousands of arrests made daily, the police do it right. Now, what does this have to do with accountability and personal responsibility? If, when confronted with a situation, we have the responsibility to act with accountability. If I participated with a riot, which is highly unlikely, I would have the responsibility to be held accountable for my actions. The riots and protests that have happened over the summer of 2020, every person that had a hand in burning down a business, looting, injuring, or killing someone must be held accountable. Otherwise, we should not be seen as a civil society. The tearing down of statues, the unrest in certain cities to the point of them being called autonomous zones is ridiculous. I find it offensive that people think we could just tear down statues and suddenly the history of our country is erased. Some of the most historic people need to be remembered for their mistakes as well as their successes, so that we can see where we came from and how far we have come from those low places and those historic moments. I think that our politicians have a hand in this too. They need to be held accountable for the atrocities that have happened. To say that burning down businesses and causing riots or peaceful protests or fiery and spirited is just wrong. The shame of it is that in this world with no accountability, it won't happen. The news media has been corrupted and the politicians are out of control. The patients are running the asylum. There needs to be a call to accountability. My point of this segment is to make you think about your actions and what part do you play in the accountability. I'm a conservative person whose views are pretty much 2 or 3 clicks to the right of center. I believe in our republic and what it stands for. I believe that when a police officer shows up, they have a responsibility to enforce the law. I believe that when a mechanic works on a car, they have a responsibility to make the necessary repairs and make the car safe. When a doctor examines a person, they have the responsibility to heal to the best of their ability, not just what some insurance companies will pay for. I believe that we, as citizens of this republic, have the responsibility to be held accountable for our actions. I know that some of the things I said are not going to agree with some of you, and that's fine. I'm a responsible adult, and I know exactly what I said, and I own my words. If you agree with what I said, then you understand that no matter what injustice has been done, 2 wrongs don't make it right. You understand that looking at something objectively, no matter how much you disagree with it, people must be held accountable. The court of public opinion has been open to us through social media, and there's a tremendous amount of censorship happening. When you see something that isn't right, no matter how much you agree with the basis of why it was started, you must call the foul. Please let me know what you think. Send your comments in this section below. Please like and share this page with your friends and even some of your enemies. Who knows, maybe it will cause a civil discussion that leads to meaningful conversation. Thank you for spending your time with Toto. I'm James Toto. Until the next time, God bless and good day.